Hello and welcome back to my new video. I am Manish Singh, and in today's video I'm going to show you some vintage muscle car. In our video we have Shelby, Mustang, Aston Martin DB5, etc, etc. Without wasting any time, let's start this video. Thank you.
Sixth is 1966 Shelby 427 Cobra. Anything attached to Carroll Shelby's name is immediately worth your time. With an insane power-to-weight ratio, the Shelby 427 Cobra has a bit more gear-dupe than your Corolla. Plus, the hundreds of thousands of dollars you pay for one will seem like chump change compared to the $5.5 million shelled out for the 66 Shelby 427 Cobra Super Snake. Two prototypes have been sent to the US in October of 1964. The new car was designed in cooperation with Ford in Detroit. A new chassis was built using 4-in-main chassis tubes instead of the previous 3 inches. It had coil springs all around, wider fenders, and a larger radiator opening. The side oiler for the 427 engine was dropped in the bay and rated at 425 HP. Although an impressive vehicle, the car was a financial failure. To save on cost, most Cobra 427 seconds were actually fitted with Ford's 428i engine with a longer stroke and smaller bore intended for street use. A total of 300 Mark III cars were sent to Shelby in the USA from 65, 66. 27 small block narrow fender versions, referred to as the AC 289, were sold in Europe. The Mk3 missed homologation for the 1965 season, but private owners continued to race the car and were winning races all the way into the 70s. The remaining 31 unsold cars were detuned and fitted with windscreens for street use. Called SC for semi-competition. Fifth is 1961 Jaguar E-Type. Whether you pronounce it Jaguar or Jaguar, everyone agrees the brand oozes style. The E-Type was released in 1961 to some pretty heavy praise. If Enzo Ferrari referred to it as the most beautiful car ever made, well, that's good enough for us. When the E-Type Jaguar was launched in March 1961 at the Geneva Motor Show, it attracted the attention of the whole world like no other car had ever done before. With its stunning sleek bodywork, groundbreaking performance, impressive handling, it astonished all. Could a car like this really be available for nearly half the price of Aston Martin's DB4? Jaguar's founder William Lyons had with his designer aerodynamicist Malcolm Sayer and engineering director William Haynes created what was to become the greatest motoring legend of all time. At a UK price of £2,098 including purchase tax for the Roadster, or the fixed head at £2,197, you really did get something very special for the money. This 2-seater sports car was fitted with a 3.8-litre version of the well-proven 6-cylinder double overhead camshaft XK engine, and drove through a 4-speed manual Moss gearbox. Suspension was independent all round. The rear suspension, which featured twin coil spring and damper units either side, was, along with the differential and inboard rear brake assemblies, mounted in a cradle that was attached to the car's shell via insulated rubber bushes and stabilized by sturdy radius arms. This subassembly was later used on nearly all of Jaguar's cars for many years to come. Inside the car you would find leather seats and fully comprehensive instrumentation that was beautifully laid out on the sports black and aluminium dashboard. This was complemented by a wood rim sports steering wheel to turn Jaguar's responsive rack pinion steering. The first road tests further helped to promote the E-Type's virtues, with a top speed of 153 miles per hour being attained along with standing quarter-mile and 0-60 miles per hour times of 15 seconds, 6.7 seconds respectively. The E-Type maintained Jaguar's very respectable reputation in motorsport and as manufacturer of quality performance cars. Fourth is 1964 Aston Martin DB5. If it's cool enough for Bond, it's cool enough for us. If you had to pick one vehicle that James Bond relied on the most, you'd be hard-pressed not to go with the DB5, and the one from Goldfinger would look pretty sweet in our garage next to the cans of beer and lawn care products. Often billed as the most famous car in the world, James Bond's gadget-laden silver birch DB5 in Goldfinger became many a schoolboy's dream. Regarded by many as the most beautiful Aston Martin produced, the DB5 shares many similar traits to the DB4. However, DB5's most substantial change occurred under the bonnet. The engine capacity was enlarged to 4 liters by increasing the bore to 96 millimeters. The car had 3 SU carburetors, as fitted to the outgoing DB4 Vantage, and also shared the latter's faired-in headlamps. Significant too was the introduction of a full synchro mesh ZF 5-speed gearbox. The Aston Martin DB5 is a British luxury grand tour that was made by Aston Martin and designed by the Italian coach builder Carrozzeria Touring Superleggera. Released in 1963, it was an evolution of the final series of DB4. The DB series was named honoring Sir David Brown, the owner of Aston Martin from 1947 to 1972. The principal differences between the DB4 Series V and the DB5 are the all-aluminium engine, enlarged from 3.7L to 4.0L, a new robust ZF 5-speed transmission except for some of the very first DB5s, 4 and 3 SU carburetors. This engine, producing 282 bhp 210 kilowatts, which propelled the car to 145 miles per hour 233 kilometers h, available on the Vantage high-powered version of the DB4 since March 1962, became the standard Aston Martin power unit with the launch in September 1963 of the DB5. Third is 1969 Dodge Charger. If there's one thing we know about the 69 Charger, it's aerodynamic. At least that's what we learned from Bo and Luke Duke. The 69 Charger is a thing of beauty whether it's a General Lee or not. It may never get the billing its Mustang counterparts always do, but the fastback look and all-American style will never go out of fashion. First launched in 1966, the Dodge Charger was an instant hit. With the fastback fad of the mid-1960s, the new Chargers were a streamlined coronet with rich interior and plenty of power. From the get-go, the Dodge Charger could be had with the almighty 426 Hemi, and with the muscle car market in full explosion, Mopar fans rushed with enthusiasm to purchase the new Charger. The 1969 Charger still used the same body as the previous year, but received a divided grille and new tail lights. The base Chargers had the 225 CID Slant 6 and the 318 CID V8 as standard engines. The Charger RT had the 440 CID V8 as its standard engine. You could get a Charger which was a mix of sport and luxury that had all of the standard Charger features plus leather and vinyl bucket seats, simulated wood grain steering wheel, deep dish wheel covers, hood-mounted turn signal indicators, simulated wood grain instrument panel, and the light group option. The Charger 500 was based on the standard Charger but differed in the flush-mounted grille, fixed headlights, and a flush-mounted rear window glass for lower wind resistance. Second is 1969 Boss 429 Mustang. In our list, second is 1969 Boss 429 Mustang. You know you're getting some sick power when they have to change the body of a Mustang just to accommodate your freakishly large engine. How could you not want to roll down the windows and listen to that sucker as you were cruising around? Which would be a good idea since, due to the size of the engine, they couldn't fit in any air conditioning. The Boss 429, sometimes referred to as the Boss 9 by Blue Oval enthusiasts, is arguably one of the rarest and most valued muscle cars from the era. The origin of the Boss 429 came about as a result of Ford's desire to compete in the top NASCAR series. Ford was seeking to develop a Hemi engine that could compete with the famed 426 Hemi Wing Warriors from the Mopar camp, the 426 Hemi Charger Daytona, and the Plymouth Superbirds. At the time, NASCAR required that at least 500 cars be fitted with a competition motor and sold to the general public. The Boss 429 engine featured aluminum cylinder heads, which had a modified Hemi-type combustion chamber which Ford called Crescent. The Boss 429 engine used a single Holley 4-barrel carburetor rated at 735 CFM mounted on an aluminum intake manifold. All these cars had 4-speed manual transmissions, and the Boss was rated very conservatively at 375 HP, while actual output was believed to be well over 500 horsepower. Mustangs were simply too small to accept the massive Boss 429 engine, so Ford hired Cobra of Brighton, Michigan to modify existing 428 Cobra Jet and Super Cobra Jet Mark I Mustangs to properly fit the new Boss 429 engine. Cobra made extensive modifications including widening the shock towers and extending out the inner fenders to allow this monster engine to fit. First is 1969 Chevrolet Camaro. It was pretty much a foregone conclusion that this list would include at least one Mustang and one Camaro. What can we say? We like old-school American muscle power. Seeing those silver stripes on a blue Z28 just strikes us as quintessentially cool. It featured entirely new, more aggressive-looking sheet metal and revised grille. Going away was the Coke bottle shape, making room for a flatter, wider-looking stance. In 1969, there were 3 different CAFO orders for a Camaro. Order 9560 and 9561 were almost the same cars, but 9560 had one big difference: the engine was all aluminum, and that is the brutal ZL1. Fred Gibbs Chevrolet was responsible for getting the ZL1 cars into production. These cars had different variations of the 427 Psi V8, making up to 425 HP. The SS was the one with a name like the hiss of a snake. Big power, special 3-speed transmission, sports striping, heavy insulated hood. One of the other CAFO numbers was the Yenko Camaro, dreamed up by Don Yenko of Yenko Chevrolet, in which he persuaded Chevy to install the L72 seconds on the assembly line, a limited number of Camaros later to be known as Yenko.
Thank you for watching my video. These were some vintage muscle car. I know the Dodge Charger, DB9, Ford Mustang and the Chevrolet Camaro must have taken your heart away. So in my next video I will introduce you with some 21st century muscle car. And do not forget to share, like and subscribe my channel. Thank you.